Thank you for tuning in to the Angel Daddies podcast, the podcast where we get to talk to fathers that have lost children way too early. We get to learn how they grieved and their journey after losing a child. Before we get into today's podcast, I do have a couple announcements. First of all, I'd like to have everybody notice that we have an official new logo. And I do want to give a shout out to my friend Scott for helping me design and put the logo together. Secondly, along with the new logo, we also have a new channel where you can have the pleasure of listening to the podcast. The podcast is now listed on YouTube. So for those of you that do not have a podcast application to listen to, feel free to go to youtube.com and search Angel Daddies. The new logo will be there. On today's episode, we have Jordan. Now, Jordan and I have known each other since freshman year in high school, which is quite a while. During the episode, we find out how Jordan and his family have dealt with the passing of their son. Jordan takes us through the steps of passing of his son, to grieving, to therapy, and what his church and his community did in order to support them. All right, Jordan, I want to thank you for coming on the Angel Daddies podcast. I greatly appreciate you making some time to come on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Today's going to be about you and your family and how you guys are a part of the Angel Dads universe. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself just to start off?
Jordan Murphy. I've known you for a while. We went to high school together. Just a family guy. I'm an athletic director here in Madera, California at Matilda Torres High School, brand new school. I'm married to my wife, Sammy, and we have 3 beautiful kids with 1 more on the way, so we'll have 4. My daughter being Austin, she's 4 years old. My son, SJ, would be 2. Dakota is 1. And Cameron Quinn will be here in September.
Dude, that's coming up quick.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember it was back in the day, back in high school. Those were some good times.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were going to be the athletic director at the new high school. I know you were going to a new one, but I didn't know it was that one being made in Madera.
Yeah, I just got that job last year. And so this might be my second year. So this will be the opening year for that high school. So I'm super excited to be back in Madera and back home to help my community out.
That's right, because you had moved away for your previous position, right?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Now, had you always want to be like an athletic director or like in some kind of athletic field?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be in the athletic field. I've always been around sports. I've always loved sports. And I went to school for athletic training. And I was an athletic trainer for a while here in Madera at Madera South. And then I was there. I just kept looking at the athletic director position and talking to my mentors, Marty Bitter and Andrea Devine, and we've talked a good amount. And I switched up my role over from athletic trainer to wanting to be an athletic director, and it all came true.
That's awesome, dude. That's definitely something very positive as far as like there's a lot of people that say that I can't be what I want to be. You're a living proof that you can be what you want to be.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Even with some of the struggles that you've gone through, especially like, you being on this podcast, you still had your dreams and you made them come true for, you and your family. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead and start talking about your son here. You said it was SJ, correct?
Yeah, Samuel J. Murphy. We call him, my wife and I called him SJ. He was born in January 18, 2018, and he passed away March 9th, 2018. Wow. Yeah, he's my first boy.
Yeah, totally feel you. I know my son's my first boy. I live in a house full of women also, so I totally feel you. It's definitely nice to have some other testosterone in the house. Yeah,
it was awesome having him born. I was super excited. My daughter was first, who I love so much. I love all my kids the same, but having your first boy, it's always something like you look forward to playing catch with him and taking him to games and different things. So it's still hard today talking about him.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel you. I don't know if you've heard any of the previous episodes, but on mine, I broke down several times. On my previous one with Jeff, which is one of my former coworkers, you can even tell that he gets choked up. I know this is definitely not an easy subject, and that's why I definitely appreciate you coming on. And I'm pretty sure my audience will be grateful of your stories and what you're going to tell us today. Now, I know I've seen you at a couple of events that I also go to as far as supporting my daughter. Did that organization reach out to you as well when passing happened?
Yeah, Angel Babies reached out to us, and we talked a couple times, and then they actually gave us the name of a great counselor. And so my wife and I started going to counseling, and it helped us a lot. I mean, it helped us grieve a lot. But when this all happened, our friends they were there for us 100%, coming over every day, just checking in on us. Our pastor at our church, Roger Leach, and his son, Lance, and our other pastor at our church, our youth pastor, Charles Rigby, and his family, they all would come over and just talk with us. And it was good having people around. It kind of kept me sane, and just having someone to talk to, it helped me out a lot. And just knowing my friends were always there for us and being there around us, and it just helped me grieve better. And I know some people turn to different things, into anger, turn to drinking or drugs or whatever else, but just having them around helped me out, and just to talk through the things and have a shoulder to cry on, and just having them and just keeping my faith in God, and just helped out a lot. I mean, a lot of prayer, a lot of just talking to God. That's about it. And I've had people say, like, you lost a son.
Yeah, take your time. Don't rush it.
Oh, man, sorry.
That's good.
Were you ever mad at God or angry at God? And I've always said no, man. I mean, God has a plan for each and every one of us, and He needed my son more than I did. And I can be selfish and say, no, I wanted him, I needed him, but I mean, I know one day I'll see him again, and he's in a place right now where I know we all want to be. He's with our King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and he's somewhere safe, and I know he's being taken care of, and that's why it's tough to deal with, but I know he's in an amazing place right now.
Yeah, definitely. I know when my daughter passed, I wouldn't say I was necessarily mad at God, but I was just mad at some shit. I mean, almost everybody, even though it wasn't anybody's fault. But I mean, it's kind of hard not to have that anger, and I'm very jealous that you weren't actually, from what it sounds like, mad at anybody. I mean, as you said, he needed it more than you, and that's how I look at it as well. As like, he needed my daughter more than I, and my daughter's up there with my grandparents and my uncle. I didn't know that you were that religious though, Jordan.
Yeah, go to church. I believe in God, and I didn't always go to church. I was like the seasonal Christmas, Easter, like that kind of church goer. But as I met my wife and talking to her, and I met my good friend now, Charles Rigby, who's our youth pastor at our church, and I started going back, and it helped me a lot. I feel like if I didn't have my church to fall back on, that's where I feel like I might have lost control of myself when losing my son. So I was never mad, but I was very hurt. It hurt inside just to lose my son and not have him with me every single day or be able to hold on to him. So,
yeah, I mean, I have my religion as well. I don't, like I told Jeff, I don't actively practice my religion. Of course, I have my beliefs. In my household, we were never really raised to go to church every Sunday. I don't know if it was the same with you. But I don't know. I just not really made that. I don't want to say a priority because it doesn't sound good. But I was taught by my mom, like, yes, we are Catholic, and he is everywhere. So it's like, why do we have to go to a specific location in order to preach to him or talk to him? So that's kind of my look. And everybody has their own religions and their own practices of the religion. I totally respect them, and I like that you actually had the support from your church. Very similar to my previous guest. Like, it was his fallback. And talking to his preacher and everybody that was in the congregation, that helped him out a lot through that.
Yeah. I mean, our church, like, when that happened with my son, like, they waited a little while, but then they reached out to us and say, hey, you know what, in the next couple of weeks, you let me know when. And we had some people sign up, and they'd like to bring you and your wife dinner, so you don't have to worry about cooking or anything like that. And so for like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, people from every day, someone came over and had a dinner for us, or we had friends that could drop by and drop off dinner. And at one point, we had so much food, we were like trying to give it away to other people.
Oh, wow.
But it was awesome to have that support and that help. And just from being from Madera my whole life, and my wife being from Madera, like, we know a lot of people, and the community itself, like, backed us and helped us out so much. And they knew what we were going through, and sending cards or just doing whatever to help us out. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's very good, especially when you have more than just, a church, or even though church is a big community, but you have the grander community that's also helping you out. It sounds like you had a lot of support for you and your family. Now, when it came to either your church being the supportive group or therapy, which one do you think was more beneficial, or do you kind of see them as equals and kind of interlaced with each other?
I feel like they were equal. Just being able to go to church and just talk to God and just be there, and it's like just a different relief you get from being there. But also going to therapy. The lady that we had, I wish I knew her name, but she helped us in a different way of my wife and I communicating different how we feel about how she grieves and how I grieve, and just going through just different steps that she did, and her bringing up things that I would never thought about, and just helping us. I mean, it hit me hard because being an athletic director and working for the schools, obviously sports and everything else is going on while all this was happening. But, you know, when my son was born, instead of taking the 6 weeks or 12 weeks I had, I took 2 weeks, just like I did with my daughter, and went back to work. And so I feel like that killed me a lot, and it hurt a lot. Because I feel like I could have had like more time with my son. I could have been there longer. I could have held him more. I could have took the 6 to 12 weeks and not cared about anything and just been at home and been able to hold him. And from like that situation, now like when we've had another son after SJ passed, and I took the whole time and was home with him, was able to hold him, just knowing that like for my next kid, it's gonna be the same thing, because your job will be there, or it might not be there. Your job might not always be there, but your family will. Your family will always be there for you. Your kids will always be there for you, and you need to be there for them. And so it kind of changed how I look at things and how I look at life. I mean, yeah, if they're going to let me go from a job because I took my 6 weeks or 12 weeks to be with my family, or my son or daughter, whoever was just born, then they can go ahead and fire me, because I'd rather be there for my family than anything else. And so it was a life lesson when losing my son and knowing I could have been there more with him. That like ate at me for a while.
Now, were you planning to break up your new dad leave, or are you just going to take the 2 weeks and then just go right back to work after that?
I was going to break it up. So I was going to go 2 weeks and then go back and then try to do it again. And then I stayed, and everything was going good. And then I used time where we needed to, and it just, then all this stuff happened with my son. He passed away, and it just sat with me and ate at me. And that's where talking to the counselor and talking to my buddy Charles, our youth pastor at the church, or my other pastor Lance, they helped me see, and they just worked me through this and talked me through everything, and it helped me out a lot.
Definitely, when I had more so my son, I did the same thing. I broke it up. I didn't take 2 weeks. I actually took 4 up front, and then the other 2 later. But that's a very good point. Like, even if everything is going smoothly, like, we don't know what tomorrow brings. And that's, as you were saying, someone else has a greater plan for us. So I think if we were, I can't get pregnant now because, me and my wife had our tube side. That way we can't, since we already have our maximum kids that we want. But say if we ever did want to have another kid and get it reversed, like, I would definitely take that perspective of, I might just take my 6 weeks now, just in case. Just hearing from your story. I know the hardest part for me when I lost my daughter was reaching out for that support. Like, hey, I need somebody. Just because when it came to any situation, I feel that way. Like, I don't want to be able to reach somebody. Was it kind of hard for you to say, hey, let's go to therapy, or let's look for someone to actually go ahead and support us? Because I know the church probably said, hey, we're here because that's how a church is. But as far as therapy goes. Yeah.
As far as therapy, I feel like my wife and I, we talked, and she was like, I feel like this will be good for us. And I said, yeah, let's go. I mean, anything. And I feel like I was so open because of how I was feeling. And I feel like me talking to my friends, me talking to my pastors at the church and family members, I feel like having someone else going to therapy and trying something different would help me out. And I was willing to do whatever it took for my wife and I to get us through this difficult time in our lives. And it worked out, and it helped us a lot.
One thing I'm very jealous of is, so when my daughter had passed away, my relationship, her mom kind of, I guess you could say, was a little shaky afterwards. So when I looked for therapy and support, it was just for myself. So when I went, it was just me and, of course, therapist. And I've always been the kind of person, which I know it's not good as, I don't really believe in therapy. Like, if I want to be able to talk to somebody, I want to make sure it's genuine. And I'm pretty sure I know that they're being genuine. But for me, I know they're getting paid. So it's like, how genuine can you be? But they're there to listen for you to be able to talk which for a lot of people, that's all they want to do is kind of get it off their chest and get it off their shoulders so they can feel some relief. I don't know. That's always just been my kind of look on as far as therapy goes. So when I saw your post about your son passing, it's like, damn, like, let me reach out to him, because I think it was on Instagram I saw it or something, or maybe Facebook.
Yeah.
And I just remember writing like, hey, dude, if you needed to talk to somebody, like, let me know, just because I know I've been in your shoes. So
yeah, we when he passed, we posted it on social media because we had a lot of people reaching out to us if we needed help or anything, and we didn't know what to do. And then we talked to my sister-in-law, and she said, no, what, just put it out there. If they want to help out, they can. And we set up like a GoFundMe if they wanted to help in any way, so they don't have to call or text us and ask. So whoever wanted to help, and then they did. People put out there like all these different things to help us. And for when it came to my son's funeral, we had so many people buying flowers for him that the Madera flower shops had to stop taking orders because the community and the friends wanted to give so much, and they had to stop so that they can fulfill those deliveries.
wow.
So I mean, I feel like like you said, like, did I look for help, or was it hard to look for help? I mean, I feel like I didn't have to look for help because so many people were just here. And I mean, having our friends come to the house, and I mean, they would call, hey, can we come over? Yeah, come over, man. Just someone to talk to and get my mind off of just thinking about my son. But when they're here, I would talk about my son, like when he was first born and how it went, and how when I used to hold him in my arms and he'd look up at me, and I mean, it'd be like memories and just talking. And I mean, it helped so much. So I feel like, yeah, like looking for help, we didn't need to because it was always there for us.
Gotcha. Man, I knew the community helped you out, but the store had to stop taking orders. Holy cow, man.
Yeah.
And I knew a lot of people knew you from Madera just because, again, like you said, we went to high school together, but it sounds like all of Madera knows you, man. to have the store no longer taking more orders. Holy cow.
It was awesome. And to have that, to see that, I mean, to see the turnout of the people that came to the funeral, and just to be there for us and to support us in that, and to show the love for my son SJ, and it was great to see that the backing we had.
Yeah, that's still mind blowing, dude. Now, when it came to going back to therapy, was it always a couples therapy that you did, or did you ever do any by yourself?
We did the couple therapy. We talked about it, and we said we'll just do the couple therapy, and I felt like that was good because my wife expressed how she felt, and during the time we would talk, but I feel like she got more out in that session, and I'd be able to hear what she's going through, and I'd be able to know as her husband what she needs. And then I'm kind of like, I hold things in a little bit and I fully express myself, and she can see what I'm going through. And I feel like we built off that. And when we leave the session, like, we continue to talk, we continue to help each other out. It was beneficial for the both of us.
I guess, yeah, that couples therapy would be very beneficial. It's kind of interesting how when talking face to face, because I do it now even with my wife, like if you need to bring up like kind of a sensitive subject, it's hard just to the two of you. But if you bring in like a third party, it's so much easier for some reason.
And I feel like with us, like if we need to talk about something now, like just us as a husband and wife, like we have no problem talking about it, addressing it.
Would you say that got easier after therapy, or was it like that before therapy as well?
It was, I mean, I was kind of like hard-headed. If it was something that was, it was, if I don't want to hear it, I'd shut down a little bit. But then after that, I kind of, and I'm still working on that as a husband, but I'm open, and I want to hear and see her, what she needs from me, and she'll see what I need from her. And it's perfect. I mean, when all this happened with my son, our friends were like, you know what, you've been around a lot of people. How about you guys get out and just go somewhere? And we took my daughter with us, and we left for a couple of days. And on the drive away to our trip, like, we were quiet. We sat in the car and we just listened to music, like worship music and different things. And like, my wife cried, I cried. But as we like got closer to like the destination, we opened up to each other and just started talking about just different things of like what we're dealing with. And this was before we started therapy, like what we're dealing with, what she feels inside, what I felt, what the future is going to look like for our kids and our kids' kids. Cause my son, he ended up passing away because he had a heart defect. And so that they didn't detect it or anything. And then finally his heart just stopped. And so we know, like, now for the future kids we have, they get tested. We do a fetal echo for all of our children now. After they're born, they go and get another echocardiogram done. For when my daughter, eventually, when she grows up and gets married and has kids, her kids will get checked the same way because it's in our family.
Oh, okay.
My other kids were working out good, but like, I feel like from that point, when we took that trip, we talked a lot about the future and what it holds for us. I mean, that trip had a lot of great things where we got to communicate, we got to talk, like going to the aquarium. We took my daughter, but when we both walked in the aquarium, we both started crying because this is something we wanted to take my daughter and my son SJ. When I was there, we walked into the gift shop and my daughter wanted something, and then I looked and I found like a little penguin and a baby. And so I got that, and we ended up taking that to his headstone later that week when we got back. And I feel like since then, like when we go to a certain place and we're with my wife and the kids and we go somewhere, if they get a little souvenir, we always bring something back for SJ and take it out to him, just because he's my son. He's a part of our family, and he's always here with us. Not if he's not physically here with us, but he's still here in our hearts and our minds. And we bring him something, and it's something that we're going to continue to do for the rest of our lives.
Now, does that new location or the aquarium that you go to kind of have more of a special meaning now ever since you guys took the trip for kind of just to get away for your son?
I feel like it does, but I just feel like every place we go to, it's like if we get there, we know like we're going to get something for SJ or something that on the way reminds us of something of SJ. Or like when we went to Monterey, it was a Monterey Bay Aquarium, but on the way there, we're driving and there's a part just after Casa de Fruta. You're driving on this road and there's a whole bunch of dinosaurs. And my son's room was decorated in dinosaurs. It was all decked out in dinosaurs. And so every time I see that, I just think of him. And so like when we take that drive, that's something I look forward to seeing. I just look at it for a couple of seconds and just keep going. But it reminds me of my son. And yeah, going back there, it reminds me of this was the first trip we took when we lost him. And it holds a big piece in my heart.
I definitely know Monterey Bay Aquarium has a lot of memories for me just as a kid, but kind of associating it to your children, because you always want to do that too. Like even as you grow up, you're like, I'm going to take my kids here one day. And then, wanting that to be the first place that you took your son and your daughter, that'd have been super special. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure you enjoyed it because, as you know, like you said, he's always there and always around. Yeah.
And with that, we got back and my wife looked into some research, and I forgot the company's name, but they make a bear, and it's the same weight as your child was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got and I guess it's like a lottery, but we ended up getting it, and it got delivered to us, and it was SJ's weight. And so when we take family pictures now, we always have the bear with us, and it's in a couple of our pictures just to remember him. And it's awesome, man. It's awesome to have that bear, and just it's not taking his place, but it's just symbolizing him. He was here with us, and he's always here with us, no matter what.
That's very interesting. I know in our pictures, when we did the announcement for my son, like we just had her little picture frame of when my daughter was born afterwards. But I'm gonna look out for that bear in all the pictures that you have with your family now.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah, we have him on there in our family pictures and different things we'll post. And then when it's his birthday, we'll have his picture with the bear there. We did I think it was in March. If you had an angel baby, you lit a candle. And so we did the candle, and for his first birthday, we bought lanterns, and we had pictures of SJ all over this board my father-in-law made, and we had people come out, and we did like a birthday party for him, but it was like more informational of like people that have lost children, and we did that, and we talked about the angel baby walk that we were going to be a part of, and we got a team, and a lot of our family members and friends, they all signed up. And we gave that information out that night. And then when the night was almost over, we had lanterns and we lit them, and we let all the lanterns go for SJ. So we let ours go first, my wife and I, and then after that, everybody else followed out. And we also gave them everyone a candle as well. So it was like I forgot what date it was, but it was in remembrance of the angel babies, and everyone were to light a candle at 7:00 that night. And so our friends were at that time, our friends would take pictures and they were sending them to us on Instagram and Facebook that they're lighting the candle for SJ.
So whenever your son's birthday comes around, do you guys do anything like special? Any traditions that you and your wife do?
Yeah, well, the first time was the lanterns. Mm-hmm. The next time we had dinner with friends and family. His second birthday, we got together and our friends kind of reached out to us too, like, hey, are you guys going to do a birthday? What are you guys going to do for Ashley's birthday? So we had friends and family. We went to a restaurant, had dinner, and then we posted a picture of our son, and we go visit his gravesite. And then that last year we did, I held on to some fireworks. And so we did some fireworks for him.
Nice.
And now every year for 4th of July, I hold on to a couple good like fireworks. And so on his birthday, I will light them again.
Okay. So that's kind of the traditional part then, is the lighting the fireworks.
Lighting the fireworks. And then I still have some lanterns left. And so I think we're going to do a lantern again. And then I'll do the fireworks, and just, I think on the lanterns, we'll write a note on it and start letting it go. But we always try to do something. And I feel like our friends too, they reach out to us and they want to be a part of it. And we usually do like a dinner or something. And then me and my wife will go home and do our own thing for our son.
Now, do you feel when you have the extra people involved, like your family and friends, is it easier to celebrate SJ's birthday, or do you like it better afterwards when it's just you and your wife?
I feel like they all want to be a part of it, and that's fun. But I also do like doing something special with just my wife and I, and keeping a family, like our immediate family, just my wife and I and my kids, and talking to them. And my daughter will ask, like, well, what is it that we're doing this for? We're doing it for SJ, and she remembers now, and she'll keep remembering. And when my son Dakota's old enough, we'll explain it to him, and then Cameron as well. Like, this will happen to your brother, and this is what we do for his birthday. I feel like it's a tradition that we're going to keep going forever.
And every time my daughter's birthday comes around, I generally keep it to, my wife, my kids, and then my parents will come over. Actually, I think this last year was the first time my parents came over, because I personally have it to where it's just me, my wife, and my kids. I don't know if you're the same way, but every year it comes around, it just brings back for me that feeling of her no longer being here. And I'm pretty sure it's kind of the same thing with SJ. Kind of going back to how we were discussing earlier, it's like I don't really I'm in a mood that day for the most part, so I don't want to have other people around just to kind of irritate me, because I just get irritated easily, especially on those days. It definitely sounds like it would be a lot more celebratory with additional people, and I eventually would want to have other people do that with me. But at this point, I just can't do it. And I definitely give you props for that. Yeah,
and I mean, it's when his birthday comes near, I look at his pictures. I think about him more. I mean, I'm always thinking about him, but it's just looking at his pictures, and then I always get emotional. And it's, you remember the birth of your son, and it's tough, because my son was born in January, and then he passed away in March, and it's I know I'm celebrating his birthday, but I also know when he passed away, it's coming up too, and those are it's a joyful time, and then it's that time where the heartache when everything happened. But I love when his birthday comes around. I'm super excited, and I'm excited to celebrate it with my wife and my kids. I know I liked having the people around to help celebrate, but also I enjoy it more when we come home and we do something with just us, like us as a family, my wife and my kids, and it's seeing my daughter smile and my wife smile, myself, and it just warms my heart.
Yeah, that's actually a good point that you bring up now. Is I've always, for some reason, I don't know why, I thought about, and again, I'm taking my own experience into it, my daughter's birthday is also the day that she passed. But yeah, for you and by the guests, I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier, it's 2 separate days.
Yeah.
So when those days come, you kind of feel like it's a similar feeling on their birthday and the day of passing, or is it kind of 2 separate feelings?
I feel like it's a separate feeling, knowing that's the day he passed, but I think I do post, I post something or I share something, but we talk about it, and my wife and I will talk, and I think I just take that in of the last time it was on a weekend, so we went and visited his gravesite, and we've done that on that day. I think on that day I'll leave work and go take things out there to him and just be there with my wife. And I feel like I don't know. The emotions are crazy though on those days, both of the days, I feel like.
Because the birthday is definitely a day you want to be joyous about, but at the same time, it's kind of a reminder, like, hey, this bad event is coming, the anniversary of it. Man, I don't know why I ever thought about that until right now as you were talking about it. I don't know what made it kind of stick out more talking to you. So kind of around my house, and it sounds like it's very similar around yours, is both my daughters, and as my son grows up, will know about her sister. And that's just, or like, they wanted to know about her right off the bat. So when me and my wife got together, like, she had already kind of explained to it what my tattoo or my necklace kind of meant. Because when we first met, the first couple of times they warmed up to me, they would want to sit on my lap and kind of hang around and play around. So she told them, like, hey, this is what this is. And so kind of over time, you know, kids being kids, they got inquisitive and started asking me about stuff. Now, do you find that kind of similar to your kids now as they grow up? They're kind of asking what this is and kind of more inquisitive about it?
They might. I feel like my daughter asks questions but she knows now, like, you know, she'll tell us, like, oh, SJ's in heaven. I feel like the hardest part with my daughter was we had SJ. She was old enough to know, like, he was there. And like a couple of days after he passed, like, not having him at home, and she'd wake up and she would run to my wife or run in the living room and, like, run to the bedroom and look, and I knew what she was looking for. She was looking for her brother. And that's where, like day one, we started talking to her, and, you know, brother passed away. He's up in heaven with God, and she started getting it. And now, I mean, she's 4, and she knows, like, she'll say, like, I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. I love you, Dakota. And I love you, SJ. And SJ's in heaven with God. And we say yes. But I feel like the questions won't, as she gets older, she might have questions, but I feel like since we were up front with her and we talked to her, she knows now, like, exactly where her brother is, and she knows she loves him, and she's always going to love him.
So here around my house, whenever my daughters do something, like, if they're doing crafts, they'll always make something for Cadence. So do you see that happening around your house as well?
She'll do stuff, but she'll, like, not too much. I don't see her doing that too much. If she does a craft, she does a craft for herself. Mostly but she'll do, like, we'll do crafts, and she'll take them, like, out to SJ's gravesite. My wife and I would do a craft with her, or my wife would do a craft with her, and for his birthday or something else, we're going to make a card for SJ, and she'll do that, and she loves to take it out there, and she knows, like, the SJ bear, so she'll grab the SJ bear and take a picture with it. And, like, for Mother's Day, this past Mother's Day, I made a pot for my wife for a plant we're going to do for our house, and I put, like, Cameron, our daughter that's coming in September, her initials on it, and I did SJ's initials, and my daughter knew, like, oh, I see SJ, I see myself, I see the baby Cameron's coming, and Dakota, and it's just something like that. Like, she doesn't make crafts. If she does a craft, it's for my wife, it's for me, but when she knows it's getting close, or we're talking about SJ and his birthday, she knows she wants to make a craft, she'll do it then.
Okay, so it's more of when those anniversaries are coming around is when she'll start to kind of do that for him. It's very interesting, just the way the kids' minds are, and I kind of wanted to bring my daughters on one day. I kind of ran it by my wife. We're still kind of talking about it just to see what it looks like from their perspective on, you know, not having their brothers or sisters here. I think it could be kind of a cool episode. We'll just see if that'll kind of come out one day.
And it took a while for her to catch on, and because she would every morning run out looking for him. It hurt, like, just seeing her do that. I would watch her, and she'd ask for him, and my wife would talk to her. And sometimes I'd have to get up and just walk out because I don't want to see her, like, have her see me cry, or my wife would cry sometimes, but she tried to hold it together for Austin, and it was tough. And then finally, we didn't get used to it, but my daughter knew, like, she started catching on, okay, brother's not here. Obviously, you don't want this to happen to anyone, but it does happen. And I feel like if you're not in a church, or if I don't know, if you don't have anyone to talk to you, like, you got to find something or someone to talk to.
Right.
You have to get to a church, or talk to a pastor, or talk to a close friend of yours. Or if you're married, like, talk to your wife, because you're hurting, she's hurting, and just start the communication as soon as possible so that you both can work through this. You both can be the support for each other. You can be each other's backbone. And my wife, she needed me, and I try to be strong for her, and I feel like she was very there for me, and we were there. I mean, we helped each other out, and then but just having the family that we have around us, it was, and our friends, that was amazing. Just to have their support and them to be here every single day for us to help get us through the difficult times. And as they started to stay away a little bit as we started to grieve more, my wife and I, and we just want to be by ourselves, and they got that. They left us alone.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I just kind of talked about different things in the future, and what am I feeling? What is she feeling? What changes do we need to make? And I feel like if I didn't have her, I mean, I don't know. If I didn't have my wife, I don't know what I would have done.
Definitely being able to open up and at least talk to your spouse or the person that you had the baby with is a big help for, I'm pretty sure, everybody. And as I was doing my first interview with my first guest, I forgot the percentage of was that people split up after losing a baby. And I remember looking it up afterwards, and it's actually 16%. So after having a child loss, 16% of couples split up or divorce or whatever, which is pretty big. Like it's a pretty significant number. And you're actually the first person that I've had on my show that's still with their spouse. Everybody else, including myself, how we have split from our partners. So it's definitely it's a good example of kind of what people can do as far as the steps afterwards to stay strong as a family would be to go ahead and open up. As you were saying, we definitely, as men, we have this machismo, outward appearance that we have to have, but there definitely needs to be a point where we break that down to be able to talk to our spouse, to be able to work through these kinds of things and have a strong foundation. Yeah,
my wife she put it out, like she was quiet, emotional. And then when she finally talked, said some stuff to me, like, hey, this is what I need. And I said, we're going to make it happen. And we made the changes that we needed. And I feel like as a married couple, like we've grown from this. I mean, I know no matter what we go through, we're going to be there for each other. And I feel like the love for each other has grown even more. And we're trying to we're going to just continue to grow and be there for our family. And if we come across someone that they're going through a similar situation, we want to be there to help out.
That's why I made this podcast here, was be able to help out other fathers, be able to hear these stories and kind of hopefully know that they're not alone, which is a big one, because for especially people that are more introverted and don't want to talk about these things, me included, because I never wanted to, it's hard. Like, this topic is definitely not easy. I know it shows a hard topic. I definitely had a calling, whether it was from, God upstairs or my daughter or the two. It's like, hey, you need to do this because this is a message that needs to go out. Figure it out, Dad, do it somehow. And, lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah, I've listened to a couple podcasts and it's been great. And I hope someone listens to mine, and if they need something from me or want to reach out to me, they can. If they want to reach out with me and my wife as a couple and need assistance or how we did it and get more information, then they can reach out.
That would be a big plus, especially for young couples that have had, the first or second child that are struggling with, the loss of a child, because you are a living example that statistic doesn't need to be any bigger of a number. Like, it is possible to still lose a child and still have a flourishing family and have the traditions and, have the community support you. That way, you guys can get through this tough situation. Now, if you were able to give one wrapped up advice to somebody, like if, say, I just had lost another child and I came to you, Jordan, what can I do? What would you tell me?
That's a tough one, man. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. It's like not telling them what to do. I feel like it's more, what can I do for you? And so you don't want to tell them how to grieve. You don't want to tell them what they need to do. It's more of, what do you need from me? I need someone to talk to, and I just want you to listen. And I feel like you'll get guys that will say that, I just want someone to listen, and I'm going to be that guy to go ahead and talk, and I'll sit here for hours just listening to you. You want someone you can vent to and talk to, and if you're frustrated, you're angry, just to get it out right then and there in a safe environment, then to have them go out somewhere and go to a bar or go somewhere and get drunk or get crazy and do something that they don't want to, but they're doing it because out of everything that's built up inside. So I feel like not telling them what to do, but just asking someone that's hurting, that's lost in there. What do you need from me? What do you need? And I'm here for you.
Now, would you feel that you would also reach out, or would you wait for like them to reach out? Because in the previous episode, my last guest and I talked about that, and it's, for me personally, I would still have a little bit of hesitation saying, hey, like, what do you need? Just because, as we were talking about that, that macho attitude or outward appearance that we want to have, I don't want to disrespect that, but at the same time, the way I was raised, and as we're talking, like, I want to help you, but I also don't want to make you feel, low or anything like that.
I think just reaching out. I don't think I have a problem reaching out. I feel like I would do it like a text at first, like, hey, just found out this happened. And if it's a good friend of mine, I've been here for you and I'm always going to be here for you, man. Like, I'm going to check on you in a couple days. I don't want to bug you too much, but just know I'm here. And then if they don't respond, then the next 2 days later, I'll probably call them or send another text. But usually with my buddies, like I'll talk to them and they'll reach back really quick. And you know what, I'm dealing with this right now. And we'll have a good conversation if it's through text message or we'll jump on the phone and talk to each other. I feel like with the people I'm around, we have good communications. And if they need to get something off their chest or anything, we can sit down and talk.
I definitely think, especially when you have that rapport with somebody, especially as a friend, it's a lot easier to do. And that's why, like, when I saw your post, I was like, hey, we've known each other since, was it 2001, freshman year?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
So I had no problem being like, hey, man, if you need to talk, just DM me, like, I'll give you my number or whatever. So it's definitely easier, especially when you do have that kind of rapport. But if it came, like, as you, suggested yourself, if someone wanted to talk and they were a stranger, and you kind of saw that they wanted someone to talk to, but they didn't want to reach out themselves, would you have that difficulty? Because, hey, man, like, what's going on?
Yeah, I feel like I think like the person I am, I'm pretty easy to get along with, and I'm a type of guy, like, you can take me anywhere and I can not know anyone, but I'm going to say, hey, how's it going? And strike up a conversation pretty easily. So yeah, if it's a stranger and they're going through something, or it's a coworker that I barely know, but I've known they've gone through this, like, hey, I've been through that experience. And if you need someone to talk to, like, I'm here. I feel like it's always hard putting yourself out there, but I feel like I'll be able to do that.
I know your personality, you would have no problem doing that, dude. Like, I don't think there's a person that has not been able to get along well with you. If you wanted to give, like, a last word of, advice, or just anything as far as, like, a special message out to your son or anything like that, got a couple minutes here. It's all up to you, man.
I guess, like, to my son, just that he's my firstborn son, that he's always my little man. He'll always be in my heart and my mind, and he'll be with me forever. And I know he's up in a good place right now, and I miss him each and every day, but I know he's up there, and we love him so much. His mom and I, his sister and his brother and his sister that's coming in September, I know she loves him already, but we love him dearly, and he will never be forgotten, and we'll continue to do the tradition and talk about him every single day. And I love you, SJ.
Thank you for coming on, Jordan. I know this wasn't probably the easiest interaction you'll probably ever have, or talking about the loss of a family member, especially when it comes to a child, but I greatly appreciate you making time to go ahead and come on the Angel Daddies podcast and talk about it.
No, thank you again for having me. And if there's someone out there that needs that help or needs that guidance or needs anything, I mean, I've been through a lot and I've had the support. And so I feel like it's from me, I need to give that back. And so if someone needs the help, and for myself or my wife or whatever, I'm here.
Thanks, man. All right. You have a good day.
All right, man. You too. See ya.
I want to thank today's guests for coming on. I know they had to take time out of their busy day to come on the podcast and tell their story, and I greatly appreciate that. You may find us at any of your major social media and podcast platforms by searching Angel Daddies Podcast. While there, feel free to comment and share your favorite episodes. Thank you to everyone that has downloaded and listened to the podcast. If you can do me a favor, keep sharing the podcast. As well, if you are listening on Apple Podcast, head over to the review section, leave 5 stars, and leave a comment. This will help me out a lot. The Angel Daddies theme song is Visions by Zero Gravity Music.